What is up, guys? It is Graskull, and we will be doing another in-depth case analysis in this video, and we will be focusing on Chroma 1. So, I was never a huge fan of Chroma, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and still do an in-depth case analysis on it. So we'll be looking at the four factors once again, which are: does the case have a unique knife in it? How well have its reds performed over time? Are there any skins in the case that belong to guns that don't usually get very nice skins? And lastly, how many of the guns in the case are guns that are used frequently in CSGO, because that matters a lot on the value side of things. So let's get started. So to start, we are going to answer the simple question of, is there a knife in the case? And the answer to that is no. There's no unique knife for this case, which ends up directly affecting the case negatively, because when people go to this case, there are going to be less people because there's no unique knife in it that they can particularly get out of the case. So short answer, this will affect the price of the case in the future negatively. Moving on, we're going to look at how the reds are performing. So, Chroma 1's reds have a unique situation for both skins, and I mean that in the worst way possible. So to start, we're going to look at the Galil Chatterbox. So, the Galil Chatterbox has like battle-scarred, well-worn, field-tested wear values. There are about 25 field-tested and a lot of battle-scarred of these. An issue with these field-tested to battle-scarred weapons is that you can obtain battle-scarred weapons that look very close to a field-tested weapon. What that does for you then is that you can save a lot of money then. Well, here's the issue, is that if I can obtain a battle-scarred weapon for that cheap that looks like the field-tested, why the fuck would I ever bother to buy the field-tested weapon at that point? So you can save yourself a lot of money, and I think that's a problem where the highest wear value is now going to be, it's highly valued, but not a lot of people I think are going to buy it because they can get battle-scarred ones that look almost identical. And this skin in particular, for some reason, the battle-scar trick works out really well for you. So it does have one thing working towards its advantage, is that it's a really good Galil skin that goes on a gun that does not get skins that are good or doesn't get skins at all that often. So I think it has that working for it for its price, but I think the central issue with it is that you can get battle-scarred ones that look almost identical to it. And you can do this with a lot of weapons that have that battle-scarred, well-worn, field-tested quality to it. Like, you can do that to actually the Op Asimov, and you can save yourself a fair amount of money if you just find a good battle-scarred one. You just have to do the whole option of inspecting game for a lot of weapons, and you find one that's got a high float point value. Side note, float point value. So 1 is the worst, 0 is the best. So 0 would be factory new. There's I think it's 10 points, or 0.1 is factory new, and then there's gaps in between that indicate what each wear value is. So battle-scarred has that widest one, where it goes from 1 to 0.45. Now, if you can nail one that is around 4.5, you can get something that looks really close to a field-tested, essentially. I'll put examples above me in editing, but overall, I think this is going to be a driving issue for the Chatterbox. Now, moving on, if we look at the Op Manowar, there's a unique situation here as well, where there are more minimal wear than there are field-tested. So, in most situations, if you look at a gun skin, how the wear values will work in quantities and prices, it'll be field-tested. It's usually the base price of the skin. It'll be the most quantitative usually. Minimal wear will be slightly higher in price, slightly less in quantity. Factory new, slightly higher in price, slightly less in quantity. That's how it should work. Well, when the market has a higher quantity of minimal wear than it does field tested, there's a problem here. Because the higher the quantity, the more the price gets driven down. And in the relation of minimal wear to field tested, if there's more minimal wears, and the price is getting driven down for them, well, no one's going to want to buy the field-tested if the field-tested price is higher because they get a minimal wear that's cheaper and it's better. So that drives the field-tested price down as well. And to start also, the Manowar had an issue right from the start where it started like all op skins do, 150, there's streamers and shit, whoever opening the cases, they get that Op Manowar and yes, congratulations, you got Op Manowar. Starts off with a really high price. that thing dropped like a fucking rock right from the start. So it never recovered really at all, and this is expected. Most reds or any skins have that drop where it's just kind of like a swooping thing where it just comes down and it slowly levels down, lowering every more and more. This one has been going down a lot harder because I think it's this minimal wear field tested relation. So now this thing, its prices are close to like pink op skins at this point, which should not be happening if it's a red skin for an op as well. So overall, I think both of these situations put together, it's gonna lead to problems in the value of the case because Battlescar Trick works like crazy on the Chatterbox, and the Man of War suffers from the minimal wear field tested relation. So overall, the situation for the reds in this is not very good, I would say. Even though the Chatterbox is a skin that belongs on a Galil, which Galils don't get nice skins every so often, even with that, I don't think it's going to help the skin's values in the future. And case value-wise, I think it's going to be detrimental in some sense because, well, what I essentially just brought up. So overall, I don't think the reds are doing very well, and I think it'll have a negative effect on the case's value in the future. So this is just a side factor I want to talk about for a sec, which is the pinks in the Chroma case. So the M4A4 Dragon King is quite possibly one of the nicest or the best M4A4 skin, I think. Because its artistic portion of it, it's a really, really good looking skin. And I can tell the community of CSGO agrees with that, because the factory new version of that gun, after all of this time, and the case is 4 cents, it's a pink, and it's still $10. That's pretty good at this point. So, what I'm gonna just say is that though pinks can't carry a case, I think it does have some influence. If you have a set of really good pinks, I think it really helps. But the whole set of pinks is not good in this case. Where that 4A4 Dragon King, it's great. I love that skin to death. But Muertos, it's an okay P250 skin. The fucking cartel is the epitome of the situation of skins looking like the default skins. The cartel looks almost identical from a distance, like a default AK-47 skin. And it explains why the cartel's price is so crap, because it looks too much like the default skin, so people just don't bother buying a cartel at that point, because they don't want to get something that looks identical to their default skin. So what ends up happening there, quantity just accumulates on the pinks, and then it just drives down the price, and that's why the price is so shit now. But it's just impressive to see you have this, essentially, a skin that deserves to be a red in my mind. The Dragon King absolutely deserves to be a red. If it was a red, it would be so valuable. But it's not, and it's pink, so it's where it is now. But then you also end up with crap hole pinks that can affect the value of the case as well, because you don't want something that looks looking like your default skin. So that was just a side factor I wanted to put in. So for our final point, we'll be looking at frequently used weapons in the case. So what I mean by frequently used, it's what weapons are highly used by the CSGO community. So M4A1Ss, USPs, Glocks, AKs, Ops, those are really frequently used weapons. Sawed-off dual Berettas, they're not very used, so their value is hurt by that. So when we look at the Chroma case, and I'm going to be looking away from my camera a bit just to read the list, we have an Op and a Galil. So Ops, highly used. Galils are used enough in force buy situations to consider them a frequently used weapon, so 2 to 2. AK-47, M4A4, and P250 are found in the pinks. All three of those weapons I think are used enough. So 5 out of 5 at our rarest weapons, which is really great because those are the weapons people value the most. So it impacts the value of the case. It sucks that their skins are kind of shit at this point, as we've talked about before, but like I'm just saying, these are all highly used weapons, so that works to its benefit. For purples, we have a Desert Eagle, MAC-10, Sawed-Off, and dual Berettas. The MAC-10 and the Desert Eagle are definitely the highest used out of all of these, but the Sawed-Off and dual Berettas are not used at all, so 2 out of 4 there. So we're sitting around 7 out of 9. And then for blues, we have a Glock 18, MP9, M249, SCAR 20, and XM1014. So As for those, the Glock 18 is definitely used a lot. The MP9 is used enough, I think, because of the SMG meta, so we sit around 9 out of 14. That's not bad. So my overall evaluation for this case is that it's the worst out of the full 5 of unretired cases. And I think that just drives from it having way too many problems. Like, its reds have too many problems, its pinks have problems. Like, if the Dragon King was a red, I think this case would be a lot better, but it isn't, so such is. Overall, what'll happen is that this case will take longer to diminish in quantity, so it takes longer to go up in value. And what we're looking for is to gain back capital as quickly as possible in some sense, and make more money in the long run if the case is better. So, out of all of them, I would say this one's definitely the worst, but you can still make money off of it, it'll just take longer. As for that, I will conclude this video and just say if you guys have any comments, requests, concerns, just write them in the comments, and I will talk to you all later. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and peace.